Right.
Just a sec.
Oh, shit, can I just grab this? Hello? Oh, hi, are you here already? I am going to just say that it's 206 Brompton Road. It's next to the Brompton Oratory. I'm just in the middle of an interview. And I'll see you here. If you ask for the Brompton Oratory, it's on the right hand, and look straight at it, it's on the right hand side next to the Boris Bikes. Lots of roadworks there. I'll see you here. Bye. Everyone gets lost on the way here.
Yeah. Right, cool. You ready, Lumber?
Ready.
Right then. Who are you?
I am Ajit Chambers. Where should I
Just talk to me, yeah.
Ajit Chambers.
And what is your background?
My background is quite varied. I studied as a Navy pilot many years ago, as I love flying. Failed it on IQ testing and went into headhunting. Ended up headhunting for a lot of large banks. And then figured out that I could be one of the people that was headhunted. So I sold myself on the job a long time ago into the Evening Standard, putting in their wire networks before fast internet turned up to a lot of their executives. Then after about 5 years, I started looking after the executives on a personal basis. So incoming bankers from different countries, making sure that all of their needs with market data were there. So I spent a few years on the trade floor, and then ended up looking after the board members of some of these banks, again on a personal basis, in their houses, personal projects, and looking after the loyalty side of banking, if there is such a thing.
So what are you doing at the moment?
At the moment, I'm working on the legacy project to open disused underground space in London. We're focusing on disused underground stations at the moment, but essentially we're showing a new market to assist the recovery.
So how have you ended up doing that?
I moved from banking into pension funds with the pensions regulator and the FSA and CLG, because a third of the stock exchange is pension funds. That got me knowledge with the civil service sector. And then I realised that as we headed into a credit crunch, the twin market of leisure and tourism was actually what the mayors around the world were looking at. And if you looked at where they were flying to, they were capturing that market. Now, what none of us realised was that that was a very good market for the recovery and a fund itself, not just a market that would help us survive the recovery, but afterwards as well. So I always say that everything you need in life is within a mile of you, and adventure is within a mile of every Londoner.
So is it purely a business venture?
It's personally the business side of it is what is making this happen, but to create something is what happens to a lot of people around the age of 30. Now I'm 38, so I've left it a little bit too late, as I've been told during this project by many people. But no, the creativity of something that has been needed to be done for a long time is the interest and the driving factor of this.
So when did the idea first occur to you? When did it all start?
It started when I was in Canary Wharf. Should I keep going?
Keep going.
I'm sorry, it started when I was in Canary Wharf. I was dealing with a lot of pressure and a lot of people getting their way heading towards being successful in a financial area. But I did think there was more than those modern buildings, and I sometimes think that it's worth looking the other way and going backwards. The history of London is incredible. All of the people who've made it from all over the world and what they've given to it, and the fact that their relatives still live here and around the world. And that's really what got me started on this.
So where are we going to Where are we going to end up? What's the end game? Where are we going to be?
The end game is that I do what I said I would do. What I said I'd do with the. That was awful.
Sorry,
Not to the mayor.
It's fine. Start again.
The end game is what I said I'd deliver to London in front of the mayor in 2009, which was revenue to the recovery. Now I said it was a number of 200 million in turnover. I've been misquoted quite a lot. It's actually a lot more than that in jobs, work. But really what I'm giving back is a flagship legacy project. I don't think you can use the word legacy without creating and utilising the legacy of the world's oldest underground system. Every Olympic Games after this will look back and go, what can we do that was the scale of what happened in London?
Why do you think this project captures... We were talking earlier about capturing imagination. Everyone seems to be fascinated by it.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
It's a little bit scary. It's always in everybody's minds slightly. Everyone uses the underground all the time, but modern society has become very clean and cool and crisp. Whereas we all grew up when it wasn't like that. So we're almost a lot closer to the old and disused and abandoned side of London as a child than we are to this new version of London. I've been thinking of how to put an answer to that question into words for a long time, and I really don't know. It's all about the feeling of being in those places. And it's almost in the air, the people who've walked through those places and the deals that have been done and the danger and the making of London happened in some of these old war rooms. As I said, it's crackling with atmosphere.
Can you talk me through some of the obstacles that stand between you and the end game?
Sure. I'll start with the first thing that comes to mind. The obstacles for any project are only people. Secondarily, the finance. As credit crunches turn up in history, a lot of very clever people turn their wealth into cash. Now that cash is here and ready to be reinvested. So that's sort of the basis of the obstacles, and I always think the obstacles are actually the way forward once you find the answers to them. So the construction and health and safety I don't see as obstacles, but actually this is where we're making revenue for London by paying these teams to do this work, to change these sites into value. So as I said at the beginning, it's only people, and by putting these characters right next to the product and showing the truth of our team, which is we're not here to make a significant amount of cash out of this. We're here to deliver something to London. It's very hard for people to believe this in any society in the world right now. But it's not about them believing it, it's about me believing it.
So talk me through some of the initial things that need to happen now.
Well, we're at the stage that we're in a Ministry of Defence site. They are behind us 100%, and we're about to add value to one of their sites, following the Wider Markets initiative that the HM Treasury set up in 1998, which is to make value out of public property and assets. We then meet with the Mayor of London on the 2nd of September and prove that we're already working on a single site, delivering value to London, in order to make this a formal project. And take on board more skills, and especially the skills of London Underground employees, running one of the best services in the world. I would say the best service in the world in underground terms. So that's the next stage after the ops side of this site begins. So essentially my team has put in 2 years of very, very hard work, which is the expensive side of the project. And if you remember, £500 million was spent on privatisation of rail before any work actually began on the physical network. So we've done that very hard work. We're now in the position to move to stage B of the REBA plan of work, which means we're inside the project and we hand over the brief to the Ministry of Defence for this first site, funded by myself. We do the feasibility study next week, which is actually a site survey in 5D, following the advice of Paul Morell, the government's. I'm sorry, I've lost my train of thought.
That's all right. Tell me about your character.
My character?
Yeah.
Well, I do a lot of single seat driving. It reminds me that you're supposed to turn fear into excitement. And when you're scared, you're in the right place, but you need to produce something from it. So this project does scare me and everybody, but that's why we're moving forward with it. I don't take no for an answer very easily until someone has proven that no is the right answer, and it very rarely is. And I'm very happy when someone is right about something like that. But my character is very forward-pushing, results-orientated. But if I can give you this example, I used to play a lot of football and baseball. I wasn't particularly worried about winning the game, or me winning it, but the excitement of the game. And the winners themselves could take the trophy. Being part of the team and the core of getting that quality across is what I'm most interested in.
So that's great. How do you feel right now then?
It's like being in an Indiana Jones movie where you're right behind his boots as he comes up to the edge of the cliff. You can't see how close you are, but when you get there, there's a huge drop and a gorgeous view. It's very hard work on me mentally. Physically, I'm working till 5 in the morning. Risk-wise, I'm piled up like a graphic equalizer turned up to the full, and I've got to make sure that I turn some things down to get the quality. But very excited about everything.